Dear Elijah and Elena, prayer is good, but prayer with planning and ideas and ways of putting that plan or that planning in motion is even better. Many times, the older you get, you hear a lot of people talk about praying. They're praying for this situation, praying for that situation, whether it's good or bad. And the thing that you have to realize the older you get is that prayer is wonderful, because we're not even talking about the psychological aspects or the spiritual aspects. We're just talking about the fact that for the religious person, prayer is a good thing. However, we won't go into the scripture too much, but also there's a large part of prayer that calls for us to be active, that calls for us to move, that calls for us to do while we wait for the answer sometimes. Sometimes also realizing that prayer can, not prayer, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say prayer could be a hindrance, but the only kind of prayer I would say it would be a hindrance is if you are basically praying and continuously waiting around for what you think of as an answer from God, without realizing that prayer or God's answer can come in a number of different ways. And God can even use people to answer that prayer. You might have a question or something to that effect. And that's why it's a blessing to have wise counsel. And you might even hear yourself in the background now. It's a wonderful thing about having you all as 2 and 3 year olds now. But the thing about prayer, again, is that it's always very, very important to not just pray, but especially if you're asking God for help or some type of answer to your question. The answer to the question or to that prayer can come in different ways. Sometimes what we see is not answering, or God not answering the supposed question. It actually is Him answering the question. It's just that we have to kind of tweak our eyes a little bit to really see, hey, you know what? He was answering my question. Could be that you were wanting to date somebody specifically, or date someone specifically, and his non-answer was basically letting you know that that's not the person. And another thing to think about is to remember when it comes to prayer, Elijah, that it is very, very important to seek wise counsel. And sometimes you can write down the pros and cons of why you should make a decision or why you shouldn't make a decision. What are you raising your hand for? You want to add something to that?
I'm praising about God.
You're praising about God?
Yes.
Okay. So again, Elijah and Elena, when you get older, make sure you remember that prayer is good, but you have to make sure that you always figure out ways and think of ways, okay, to pray, put forth a plan, think about that plan, and then move forward with that plan. And seek wise counsel while you're making that plan. Sound good? Thanks.